A judge's dirty secrets are exposed. Pam Bondi uncovers corruption, leading to shocking moments in the courtroom. But will the judge's true face be revealed? The courtroom was crowded, the air thick with anticipation. Everyone knew that Pam Bondi, the former Attorney General of Florida, was no stranger to controversy. Her career had been built on a string of successes and scandals, but today, she was here to testify in a case that could unravel everything. The room was silent as Judge Richard Hawthorne, a notorious figure known for his disdain for anything connected to conservative politics, took his seat at the bench. "Let's get this over with," Judge Hawthorne muttered under his breath, clearly irritated. His gavel slammed down with a force that echoed throughout the courtroom. The clerk, visibly nervous, glanced at Pam Bondi as she entered the room. Bondi, dressed in a sharp suit, walked in confidently, her gaze unwavering as she made her way to the witness stand. "You may proceed, Ms. Bondi," Judge Hawthorne said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Though I'm sure whatever nonsense you're about to spew won't be anything new." Pam didn't flinch. She had been through worse, much worse. She stood tall, flipping through a thick stack of documents. "Your Honor," she began, her voice strong and unwavering, "I'm here today to testify about the Liberty Fund's involvement in this case and the financial discrepancies surrounding it." Judge Hawthorne's eyes narrowed, his face reddening with anger. "I don't need your political theatrics, Ms. Bondi," he sneered. "The only thing I'm interested in is the truth, not your conservative propaganda." Pam raised an eyebrow, her lips curling into a slight smirk. "The truth, Your Honor, is something you might want to reconsider before you pass judgment," she replied, her voice steady. "I have documents that show exactly how the Liberty Fund funneled money to your personal account and how you've used your position to manipulate this case." The courtroom held its breath, the tension thickening as Judge Hawthorne's expression darkened. "You dare accuse me of corruption in my own courtroom?" he spat, his voice rising with rage. "You've got some nerve, Ms. Bondi, but you're nothing but a puppet of the right-wing machine." Pam didn't back down. She raised the stack of papers high, letting them catch the light. "I'm here to expose the truth, Your Honor, not to play games." Judge Hawthorne slammed his gavel down, his face contorting with fury. "Enough! I will not tolerate slander in my courtroom," he thundered. "If you continue with these baseless accusations, I'll have you held in contempt." But Pam remained unshaken. She tilted her head slightly, a cold smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "You can threaten me all you want, Your Honor, but the truth will come out, no matter how hard you try to silence it." The tension in the courtroom was unbearable. Pam Bondi stood her ground, her gaze locked on Judge Hawthorne as he fumed behind the bench. The audience, a mixture of legal professionals and curious onlookers, whispered amongst themselves, knowing something big was about to unfold. "Your Honor," Pam continued, her voice calm but cutting, "I have the evidence you've been trying to hide. The bank statements, the emails, and the offshore transfers, they all point to you." Judge Hawthorne's face went pale, his hands trembling as he gripped the gavel. "I don't want to hear your lies, Bondi," he snarled. "I've been a judge for over 20 years. You think you can come in here and make a mockery of me?" Pam, undeterred, flipped to the first document in her stack. March 12, 2024. A $200,000 deposit into your Cayman Islands account, one day after a meeting with the Liberty Fund. Care to explain that, Your Honor? The courtroom gasped, and Judge Hawthorne's face flushed with a mix of anger and panic. "That's fabricated," he shouted, his voice trembling. "You're slandering me." Pam's voice cut through the chaos, steady and unrelenting. "You may want to check your own records, Your Honor, because the deposit is right there in black and white. And it matches a $50,000 donation made by the Liberty Fund just days before." Judge Hawthorne stood up, his body shaking with rage. "Enough. You have no right to accuse me of anything," he roared. "I'm a federal judge. You're just a political pawn." Pam stood her ground, not intimidated in the slightest. "If you're so confident in your innocence, why are you shaking, Your Honor?" she asked, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "I have more than just bank statements. I have email correspondence, recordings, all proving your involvement. The courtroom erupted into whispers, phones now recording every moment of the showdown. Judge Hawthorne, desperate to regain control, grabbed the gavel and slammed it down, but the sound of it was weak, almost pathetic. He was losing it. "You've made a mistake, Miss Bondi," he said, his voice now wavering. "You think you can ruin me with your little documents? I'll have you disbarred for this." But Pam wasn't done yet. She held up another document, her voice cutting through the chaos. "This is an email you sent to a Liberty Fund representative, Your Honor. Make sure the next donation goes through smoothly, and I'll handle the case as planned." Sound familiar? Judge Hawthorne's face went from red to white as he looked at the evidence in Pam's hands. His breathing became shallow, and he could no longer hide the fear in his eyes. The courtroom had gone completely silent, every person holding their breath, waiting for what would come next. "You're lying," Hawthorne screamed, his voice cracking with desperation. "You can't prove any of this. This is all a setup, a political attack." Pam Bondi, unflinching, raised the recorder in her hand. "I don't need to lie, Your Honor. I have your voice right here, recorded during a conversation with the Liberty Fund. You instructed them to destroy evidence of your financial dealings, and you promised them you'd help their cause in exchange for money." She pressed play, and the room was filled with the unmistakable sound of Judge Hawthorne's voice. "Wipe all the records from the Faith and Family case," he could be heard saying. "If anyone asks, say they were lost." The courtroom gasped in disbelief, and the clerk, who had been silently observing the proceedings, stood up, her face streaked with tears. "He made me do it," she sobbed. "He said he'd ruin my career if I didn't erase the files." Judge Hawthorne staggered back, his hands shaking violently. No, this is all a lie," he whispered, barely able to stand. "I didn't do it. It's not real." But Pam Bondi wasn't finished. "Then why are you running, Your Honor?" she asked coldly. "Why are you trying to escape the truth? You've been caught, and no amount of shouting will change that." As Judge Hawthorne tried to make a frantic exit, court officers quickly blocked his path. The audience surged to their feet, some clapping, others shouting in outrage. "You're finished, Hawthorne," Pam said, her voice unwavering. "And when the FBI arrives, they'll make sure the world knows the truth about you. You thought you were untouchable, but now the walls are closing in." With that, the courtroom was filled with the sound of applause and shouts of condemnation as Judge Hawthorne's once ironclad reputation crumbled before his very eyes.